Alright, so I just finished up Assassin's Creed Black Flag Resynced, and I gotta tell you, I enjoyed every single minute of this game. But first, I have a confession to make. When I first tried the original Black Flag years ago, I just couldn't get into it. I made it as far as Havana, really wasn't feeling the vibe at all, so I just put controller down. So when this remake dropped, I was skeptical, but at the same time I was really excited to finally give it another chance. And man, was I proven wrong. This hands down has got to be one of the best Assassin's Creed games I've ever played. It completely blew past my expectations. Right off the bat, so many things stood out to me. The depth of the characters, the stunning visuals, the music, the weight of the combat, and just how incredibly user friendly it felt to play. Alright, so let's talk about the story. Right off the rip, you have Edward Kenway. Now he embodies what you would want exactly in a protagonist. He's a pirate who is strictly after the bag. You don't talk about the money, but you quickly realize there is so much under the surface. He literally stumbles his way in the middle of a centuries old secret war between the assassins and the Templars just by killing a rogue assassin named Duncan Walpole. I think that's his name. I think that's how you say it anyway. And stealing his robes for a quick payday. Now, what really kept me hooked was the cast. You get to sail along and play alongside actual historical figures like Stede Bonnet, Mary Read, Anne Bonny, and Ed Thatch. That's right, Blackbeard. The writing and the voice acting made these characters feel so real and intriguing that I found myself doing my own research on them in my free time just to see how accurate the game was. Now, when a game makes you want to open up a history book because you're that invested, you know they did something right. Coming into this game with almost no expectations, the open world absolutely floored me. Often in massive open world titles, having too much to do can become a bit of a chore. It turns into a map cleaning simulator. Now, I'm pretty sure y'all know some games that are like that. But in Resync, I really didn't mind it at all. I just love sailing across the Caribbean, listening to my crew happily belt out shanties while I explore everything from the deepest forest to Davy Jones's locker. Well, the deep sea diver locations. The environments feel so incredibly alive. You see NPCs carrying out their daily tasks in the towns, and the sea can go from perfectly calm one moment to rough with violent typhoons and thunderstorms the next. And the wildlife, yeah, it's a wild ride. On one hand, you got wild cats and dogs and monkeys that just want a little bit of love. And now on the other hand, you got boars and gators and jaguars that are just actively hunting for your neck. And don't get me started on those sharks when you're just trying to mind your own business, looting underwater shipwrecks. Now, the last time I touched naval mechanics in this franchise was all the way back in Assassin's Creed 3. Jumping back into Black Flag Resynced, it felt like a massive generational leap. Everything about the ship combat feels smooth, heavy, and intense. Storming enemy ships, trading cannon fire, and taking over massive forts never got old. And when you're on foot, the combat is pretty simple. There's nothing really overly complex about it. All your basic sword attacks are just bound to one button, and your parry is on another. But where it gets fun is how creative you can be with your tools. Mixing in rope darts, smoke bombs, blow darts, and your pistols make the flow of battle feel incredibly fluid. Sometimes it feels a little bit too easy, but honestly, that's not a knock against the game. It just makes you feel like an absolute tank. Now, the stealth, however, could be a little bit of a hit or miss. Hiding in the grass and haystacks works exactly like you'd expect, but there were definitely times where I felt like I took someone out, maybe, I kid you not, 50 to 100 feet away and completely out of sight from somebody, and the whole camp instantly spotted me. It didn't matter. Honestly, it didn't matter to me though. I genuinely enjoyed turning around and taking out everyone who made the mistake of finding me. I didn't play the original, Black Flag all the way through, not even barely making it through the beginning. However, I did my own research and I saw that they removed the Upsturco modern day walking around sections. Thank goodness. So what they did instead was they added this thing called the Dark Animus. Now these are four optional missions that explore a what if scenario, showing what would have happened if Edward had returned home to England early instead of staying out on the sea. They aren't required to progress the main story, but they are a fascinating addition to the lore. They also added brand new side quests. Like I said, since I didn't play the original all the way through, I'm assuming these are new naval officer missions featuring characters like Shipwright Lucy Baldwin, the Padre, and Tobias Smith. They add a ton of flavor to your crew and give you some great upgrades. Not to mention the story, like the missions were also fun too. Overall, I enjoyed my time with this game. In fact, so much there was never a moment where I felt like the game was dragging. If anything, I wanted more. In fact, I spent so much extra time to completely master this game and to lock down that platinum trophy. In fact, as a matter of fact, I'm already on my second playthrough, and there are definitely a few things that I wish I had known the first time around. Now, if you're going for that platinum, specifically that art collection trophy, I think it's called like Dalente or something like that. Take my advice. Start sending out your Can't Waste Fleet missions as early as possible. Yeah, I really didn't sit down and read this thing or try to understand the fleet system early on, and that's completely on me. But because of that, at the very end of my first run, after the entire map was uncovered and everything else was done, I was literally sitting around waiting an hour at the most for my ships to return with the final pieces of artwork. Don't make my mistake. I said it before and I'll say it again. I never understood the massive hype surrounding this game when it first came out. But listen, after playing this remake, I get it. Or at least I get some of it. Um, I understand too that, with this remake they removed, some key parts of the story. Well, I ain't gonna say key parts of the story, but I will say there were key moments in the story that they removed. I went back and watched those clips and I was like, okay, that would have been really cool in the remake. But again, I'm not here to compare, what was and what is now. I'm just telling you about my experience, what I played. And I enjoyed what I played. I enjoyed the product. Like I said, I enjoyed the pacing. I enjoyed the combat. Like I said, the environments that they created. With that said, I would highly recommend this game to anybody, honestly, because I feel like it has everything you want. A good story that's easy to follow, great characters that I feel like you'll fall in love with. Um, Let me see, realistic environments. I think I mentioned that, but we're gonna say it again because that's how good it was. Like honestly, it's just one of those special games where you can honestly easily get lost in the world and the lore. Um, and honestly, it wasn't a full price game, so that's another plus. But that's honestly all I got to say about this one. And I really do appreciate you guys for watching and listening. And if you got any comments, leave them in the comment box. But other than that, you guys take care. All love. Peace.